And the hard-charging, hard-working Ray Amaya putting that together from our coverage last night. Kind of weird how the night went on, how distorted your voice gets. Good morning, true believers. It is the day after the most historic, the most epic, the most expensive primary race in the Gem State history. And today we will take your phone calls as we do. We will hear what you have to say. In addition to that, yes, our Unity Rally. We invite you to join us coming up on Thursday, believe it or not, where we will have all the candidates, all the contenders, and we hope they show up. But an amazing night last night. And for me personally, it's been a while since we've gotten that in-depth in politics. You know, when you do, when we wake up together, and we do wake up together, we do some news, some non-political news, some this, some that, but to really focus in on just who was going to win, who was going to lose last night was amazing to me. And to everybody who ran, anybody who supported anybody that did run, thank you. We thank you for listening, but we thank you for being a part of the process. An amazing night. We'll go over the results, but again, and this is how it works. As I've said, it's always easier to get in at the beginning of the program than middle or halfway through. And many of you went to bed. Many of you didn't stay up. Our coverage ended about 1 o'clock. And I don't know about you. I should have went and just come into work and started blogging because I couldn't sleep. I was just so pumped. And for me, I really didn't pump any candidate. It was just one of those things where the excitement, of having seen these races build and build and build and build. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, your thoughts on last night's election. I'll read you where we are and where do we go from here. In a shocker that is bound to be a point of conversation for quite some time here on KIDO Talk Radio. And it's funny, somebody suggested this to me, and I go, wow, I wonder how people will react if that will happen. But that is the lieutenant governor, as you heard Maggie O'Mara say, the lieutenant governor, Brad Little, some would say the incumbent, because he had the support of the incumbent, the real incumbent, Butch Otter, who wasn't running. Their partnership has long been documented. But here you have Brad Little winning with 37.2% of the vote, and that's about 71,000 votes. Amazing. Also, Congressman Labrador coming in at 32%. Think about that, 32%. 32% with about 62,000 votes. Dr. Tommy Ahlquist, 50,000 votes at 26%. Then you have a shocker for most of us, where we have the unheralded Lisa Marie getting 1.7% of the vote. Remember, she didn't do any advertising. She wasn't on any forums. You have Steve Pankey. This is unusual. Get this, 1.4% for Steve Pankey, who blew about $200,000-$300,000 on ads and everything else. 1.4%. And then our beloved Harley Brown at 0.4%, and some guy named Dalton Ben Kennedy at 0.3%. So as we take a look at the governor's race, it took 71,000 votes for Brad Little to beat Congressman Labrador and Dr. Ahlquist. We'll get back to that. On the Democratic side, I feel a disturbance in the force. Shockingly, Paulette Jordan, with only 38,000 votes, but that's 58% of the Dems, beat Boise businessman A.J. Belukoff, who came in at 40%. A.J. spent a lot of money. A.J. has run before statewide. A.J. is beloved, yet Paulette Jordan wins. Paulette Jordan was, I don't want people to take this the wrong way, kind of an odd duck because she didn't even hang out with her party last night. She had her own party at a Boise bar, which is kind of odd. If you're the nominee of the Democratic Party, you would be hanging out with the party. No, she was doing her own thing. Maybe that's what we'll see. But what we will see from Paulette Jordan, people will say, well, it's the first time we've had a chance at a female governor. Well, it's the first chance that we've had somebody of her heritage. And it's the first time that we'll see massive amounts of money being spent by George Soros and others to try and turn the gem state. We're not purple. We're not blue. We're red. But look at a lot of money going into Paulette Jordan, probably Cher coming in, singing Turn Back Time, if you will. But that's a disturbance. That shows you there is a young, vibrant, liberal, progressive element that is growing. As I told you in my travels throughout the Treasure Valley, many young millennials were going, I love Paulette Jordan. Well, now we're seeing that paying off, despite the fact that she was outspent by A.J. Belukoff. Paulette Jordan, congratulations. By the way, Peter Dill, he came in with 1.5%, really a non-factor. That is the governor's race. So it is Brad Little, 64-year-old Brad Little of Emmett, versus Paulette Jordan, 38-year-old of Northern Idaho. The lieutenant governor's race, by the way, right now, you've got Janice McGeehan with about 50,000 votes at 28.9%. You've got Steve Yates at 27.2%. And then it goes to Bob Nonini, Senator Nonini. Idaho needs Nonini at 15%. Senator Hagedorn at 15%. Kelly Packer, Representative Packer, who did receive the endorsement of the statesman at 13.8%. Those are the big races that matter. As you heard also, Sharon Ullman has defeated Dave Case in Ada County, back and forth in Canyon County. I believe that race has not been called yet for Canyon County Commissioner. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, we take a look at the winners and the losers and your thoughts on the governor's race. Oh, by the way, the race for Congress, that wasn't much of a scene, as you heard last night. There was only one outlet that had the exclusive interview with the Republican nominee. You heard the speech, and then we were very fortunate to get an interview with the lieutenant governor, now the nominee for the Republican Party for the governorship. Here we did get a chance to talk to him. We also talked to Senator Fulcher, who pulled out a big win, 43%, versus our friend David Leroy, Citizen Dave, who had charm, who had charisma at 15%. Representative Malik, this is interesting, coming in at 14%. And I suppose you take a look at this, and you could say this about a lot of things, but if you put together Dave Leroy, Luke Malik, and Christy Perry, that gives you about the same, it gives you about 40%, which, again, doesn't beat Russ Fulcher at 43%. You throw in Alex Gallegos, who, first-time candidate, getting 3.5%. Nick Henderson at 2%. Let's see, I told you Christy Perry at 11%. And Michael Snyder at 10.3%. To our friend Gary, who came up to us last night and had a chance to speak. Gary, we appreciate your fire, your commitment to making the Republic better. And to the people that backs Michael Snyder, thank you. Thank you for making a difference. It certainly was it. So as what usually happens after this, it takes a while for people to wake up and get rolling at 580-5436. I totally understand that. Just for the fact of the matter is that it was a long night, and many people say, well, Kevin, I'm just campaigned out. Kevin, I'm tired of it. I don't think so. I think it's a good thing. Now, you take it the race for governor. Now, one side may blame another. Brad Little ran an aggressive, a tough campaign, and he did what he had to do to win, right? He did what he had to do to win. And that's why, as we said 4 years ago, elections matter. You put together Congressman Labrador and Dr. Ahlquist, that's 60% of the vote, right? And you look at the hard-charging Dr. Ahlquist, who put his life on hold for a few years to get into the process, as we talked about yesterday. The optimist, who came out and did everything he could. I thought he worked very hard, getting 27% of the vote. Congressman Labrador, a changing of the guard. Could have stayed in Congress, probably could have been, seniority right up there. But decided that he was going to come home for personal, professional reasons, so he took his shot. Congressman Labrador has beaten the odds as a state representative, as a member of Congress. This time, the field was a little bit more challenging. That is no disrespect to the candidates. By the way, look, this is my analysis. It's not going to be, smack the candidates unless you do it. For me, I look at Congressman Labrador. I look at his diehard supporters, and they're probably feeling a little beat up tonight. But it was a tough go from the very beginning. Remember, Congressman Labrador split time while you had Lieutenant Governor Brad Little and Dr. Ahlquist working the state again and again and again and again and again, right? Working the state repeatedly, which is huge. And then you have the congressman coming home, not having the access to resources that the other two candidates had. Plus, again, working on that statewide recognition. Earned media is different from paid media. And there was an enormous amount of money spent. Negative advertising. People will say it's abhorrent. By the way, it was great to finally get Senator Craig on last night. That was amazing. To speak to a man who's been involved in so many Idaho political battles and contests. Of course, his time in the Senate is remembered. Also, it was great to see Governor Otter and Miss Lori and have a conversation with them. But you take a look at what happened. Now, people are going to say, well, such and such cost such and such the election. I don't think so. Again, it was going to be a tough haul. And then you take a look at the frequency, you take a look at other things, and we'll get into that. But again, Security Guard Mike is our first caller of the day on KIDO Talk Radio. Security Guard Mike, good morning, brother.
Good morning, Kevin Miller, man. You are awesome. You were just up and going like you were going last night. Do you ever sleep? I love you. You're awesome. Hey, I just wanted to say that now that the dice cast, as Brad Little said last night, we have to pull behind him. We have to keep the Republican Party strong here in Idaho. We have to keep it strong and make it stronger back in Washington by voting for our Republican candidates. And we just have to keep going strong so that we can make America great and continue to make it great again. We're on a roll now. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep this train moving. And you're awesome, Kevin Miller. It was just good to hear you. Your voice is as strong now this morning as it was last night. I love it.
Well, I tell you, Security Guard Mike, you were like the last vision because you were heading out while I was talking to Steve Ackerman. But what did you think of the results?
Well, I think that, it is what it is. You have to, you fight hard, and everyone fought hard. I know that Tommy Ahlquist fought really hard, and I know that Raul Labrador was out there pitching as hard as he could pitch. And then in the end, somebody just hits a home run and takes it home in the ninth inning. That's the way it is. That's America, and they all went out there and did their best. And the Idaho people of Idaho, I trust them. I trust their judgment to do right, because everyone here is very nice and very hardworking people, and they're going to pick what's the best, because Idaho people are just the best, and that's why we live here.
You're right about that, Security Guard Mike. So any other stories that you want to share with us from last night?
Oh, I met a bunch of people in the room last night, and it was good to see Santa Dan and all those guys over there. It was just fun. It was a good time, and I think you guys you did some great interviews last night. I listened very intently as you were interviewing, like Russ Fulcher and all those guys. And you're an amazing interviewer. You're just like I don't know where you come up with all these questions. I don't think I could do that. All I can do is make comments. Anyway, you take care, Kevin Miller. I got to get going because I'm almost to work now at the VA hospital where I work. And you take care and have a wonderful day. And you're awesome. I appreciate you very, very much.
You're awesome. We love you, Security Guard Mike. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye, buddy.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. By the way, in Ada County, 34% of the voters turned out, which is roughly 20,000 more than last time around in 2014. Maybe you can attribute that to more turnout or more people in Ada County. More coming up next. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And post-primary coverage continues. K-Millie in the morning. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, we will be at Terry's Cafe in Meridian, Idaho, urging all the candidates, all the contenders, all the people that volunteered, that followed this thing, that worked to join us for a unity breakfast. Then we will be once again at the State House with members of the Republican Party for the Unity Rally. Let's go to Cindy in Caldwell at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Cindy.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Actually, Kevin, you know what? I have perfect peace with my soul. You know, I am a born-again Christian, so I always compare everything and look to the Bible for answers. So last night, you know, I read through Isaiah, and I was reading, about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they made a very good statement, and this is how I see things. You know, they always said, I'm just sticking to what I believe in because I'm going to believe in my God. And you know what? Raul Labrador, I'm glad. I lived 50 years in Connecticut. I lived 2 years in Florida, almost 12 years in Washington. I never said I was a native Idahoan. And you know what? We all one day, for those votes, because I saw over 6 months, my conscience is totally at peace to tell my grandchildren. I actually feel bad for Idahoans today. You know what? I saw sold out to that election, listening to people and people why they were voting was tragic and despicable when I don't have any unity with liars and people who use deceit or use someone's nationality, why they wouldn't, or their religion, why they wouldn't, or we work for a Medicaid agency, or I belong to a union. Yeah, the union's got Evita Peron and her cohort, Mr. Peron, into office. So I have a great peace this morning because I feel sorry that the one man who stood alongside to save this nation, the native Idahoans, and, you know, really with your children, get over yourself. If your child has a job, my family's children are living all around in different states for wonderful reasons. So the peace I have in my spirit is for the one man. I'll have to answer to my God someday. I was more upset yesterday that the anti-Semitism, just indirectly driven by that Idaho Press Tribune, I'm sickened. And I'm glad you have Mark Levin on Fox News because I can use his name now. So I'm glad the evangelicals stood, and my great pastor, Pastor Hagee. I was more concerned about that and more upset with CNN tearing down our First Lady, even trying to report her medical condition.
Sure.
It was just disgusting. So, Kevin, I don't feel in union with any of your people. I didn't do what some of the Dems did in your great Ada Connie jump because they do know when the Idaho Press Tribune is supporting Brad Little. It was kind of no wonder to me when I was figuring things out how this election was really going to turn out. But I'm so proud that the one man to me that represented saving this nation, and I really mean that, and coming alongside Donald Trump, that when I go into my church and when I confess my sins, I don't have anything on my conscience about supporting someone who ran a campaign. Will ever be, how can I say that? I just ingratiated in some ways to Raul Labrador and to their family for being on the right side of righteousness. And I actually feel sadder for the people of Idaho today. I am a citizen of heaven, certainly not Idaho, and I do wish you well tomorrow. You know, hope you have a nice cup of coffee over there and have at it. But I'll just be pressing on once again today for other things that to me are much more important, Kevin. So you have a great day.
You too, Cindy.
I'm sure the Lord will strengthen you, and it's always nice to talk to you, Kevin.
Nice to talk to you, Cindy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather together. And coming up next, more of your unfiltered, uncensored reaction to last night's election. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. An amazing night. An amazing night indeed. Ray Maya, thank you for putting that together. I know it was a very quick turnaround for you and for so many of us. We're taking your phone calls on what happened. You heard Cindy. By the way, congratulations to the folks in Nampa, the sewer bond passing with 87% of the vote. You go back to this race, though. Lieutenant Governor Brad Little is now the Republican nominee, and you have a lot of people that, again, a contentious primary. You heard our friend Cindy. She's not very excited about the Unity Rally, the Unity Breakfast. But isn't it time to come together, or are we going to start looking at Governor Jordan? My girl, Liberty Linda, joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
You're definitely my guy, Kevin. I was thinking the same thing when you said it. What an amazing night. And you were there till the end. It was wonderful.
Liberty Linda, let me just say this. It was It was a great team effort, and the older I get, the more I realize that it is Ray Amaya, it's Joseph King, it's all these people, Jacob, that worked behind the scenes to put this together. You're right. We were the first in the state with the coverage, and we left the air about 1 a.m. yesterday, and that's just our way of saying that it was such a story to tell, and to the people here at the broadcast center, the management team that allows us to do this type of coverage. It was amazing.
You're absolutely right. And, I always think of Ray Amaya. I know that he's there. He's a backup, and he's got things going and pulling everything together. I'm always thankful for him and his lovely family. His wife is just absolutely adorable. Anyway, I was very happy to support Tommy Ahlquist. I know he will go on to do great things here in Idaho. I know that. And, wow, Brad Little. When that picture came out of him and his 2 grandchildren, I just had kind of a feeling. That was such an awesome picture.
Now, wait a minute, Liberty Linda. You had a feeling about Dr. Ahlquist.
Oh, well, no, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I still have Dr. Ahlquist in my heart. I still, would like him to be governor. But what can we do? Brad Little won. He is our next governor. And so we need to support him, and I do. And, because we love this state, and we want this state to have the best and do the best. Kevin, when I used to go into grocery stores and I would ask people in there, who are you voting for? I would get blank faces. And they would tell me, well, we don't know who's running. So I highly recommend for this next election, people who's ever running go into the grocery stores and make sure these people know. I was amazed about that. Anyway, 2 of my picks, well, Russ Fulcher, of course, and then Steve Yates. Do we know about Steve Yates yet? He hasn't quite gone over and won it totally, correct?
Well, Senator Craig said there might be either a recount or a runoff between he and Janice McGeehan.
Which I was totally surprised about.
I know. We could continue this on for another month.
I know. This is amazing. But, I still hope Steve Yates gets in there. And because he's a wonderful guy. And, I truly feel the same way as security guard Mike. You're awesome. I love listening to you last night. The whole night was very exciting, and we're still excited. We still don't know the answers to a few people. So we're still there waiting. And anyway, Idaho is wonderful. What a great state and great people here, and especially you. Thank you so much for interviewing every one of them so we know about them.
Well,
and
Liberty Linda, though, what do you want to say, though, to people, and you heard our friend Cindy and others, and here's something that I found interesting, and there's a picture of Congressman Labrador conceding to Lieutenant Governor Brad Little, and then you had Dr. Ahlquist with his statement, and again, I say this with the utmost respect to all of these folks, it would have been nice to see, and maybe they planned it this way not to do it, it would have been nice to have had those guys come out on the stage and say a few words to their supporters, but we didn't hear that. But what do you want to say to people that are going, man, I'm mad, my person didn't lose, I'm out?
Well, it doesn't do any good for the state to do that. We need to get behind the people who actually won and support them. We have to think of our state, and that's what I feel about it. I thought Tommy Ahlquist was wonderful. I wanted him to be governor. But we have Brad Little now. He is our governor, so we need to support him and for the best of Idaho. I think that's what we need to have in front of us. The word Idaho, most important. So that's the way I feel about it.
Liberty Linda, thank you. God bless. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Kevin. You are awesome.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Bye. Don't forget our Unity breakfast before the Unity rally tomorrow at Terry's Cafe in Meridian. Join us for breakfast, fun, and politics. And joining us now, the historian of the Treasure Valley, our friend Hank. It was great to see Hank last night at KIDO Talk Radio. Hank?
Good to see you, too. my take on this, I felt that Labrador was going to hold on. You know, I could sense Brad surging in the last month, and I thought it'd be close, but I thought he could hold on, which I proved to be wrong. I also, it showed two lessons involved here. Counties that normally don't count for much in most gubernatorial elections, such as Lemhi County, Custer County, became factors in this. In those counties, you really do have to come in and campaign with them personally, and this is where Labrador was handicapped by his being in Congress. He didn't have the time to adequately campaign in those areas, where Brad was able to revisit those areas several times. And the other factor in this election was the heavy advertisement. You got money from the Prosperity Fund and all these special interest places. It saturates the market in Boise, because little over a third of Little's lead came out of Ada County, and that's a factor. As far as unity is concerned, I have no hesitation about supporting Brad Little against Paulette Jordan. She would be the most leftist person. You have to go back to Barzillai Clark, who was governor of Idaho back in 1937, for somebody who's left wing. And Barzillai is arguably the most left wing person that's ever held high office in Idaho besides Glenn Taylor. And he was the one that went partying prisoners out of the penitentiary, and he was the one that believed in public ownership of public utilities. And he was arguably very, very close to Paulette's current positions. He's probably the most radical governor we ever had in our history. And I wouldn't want to see another one like Paulette Jordan get in there.
Hank, let's go back to this. So how did this break out? Congressman Labrador appeared very confident. Dr. Ahlquist appeared very confident. Brad Little appeared very confident. First of all, I don't think that the polling is very accurate in this state, number one. Number two, I think that those last-minute ads, it was like 1988, and you remember the New Hampshire primary, as a student of history, as a historian, where then John Sununu, governor of the state, put on a bunch of ads against Bob Dole and swung the New Hampshire primary. It's a famous political move. I don't think that the congressman's staff had the chance to adjust to it. And frankly, the ad with David Bossie came in too late, and it sounded horrible with him on the phone.
Yeah, he didn't. I didn't think that was as effective as it could be. That was my fear. That was why I was railing on the phone 2 days ago. I was concerned the same thing even before the election about that. I felt that's why I was attacking the low blow in there, because those type of things are effective, especially with people who are not in the state for very long, who have not, who are not followed the internet. You got a lot of people who are first-day registrars, like in Ada County, who register the same day of election, who come from other states. They may be conservative, but they're not knowledgeable about a lot of these things. And I felt the Little thing did play the Sununu tactic. That's why I was hitting on the phone as hard on that particular ad, because I felt it did damage.
Hank, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio, 580 AM and 107.5 FM. Coming up next, your phone calls and Liberal Steve. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And we continue on the morning after the historic Idaho primary, and we go to a smiling face, otherwise known as Liberal Steve on KIDO Talk Radio.
It's another great day in Idaho. Can't wait. What do we got? About 160 days with Paulette Jordan will be the first female governor in the state of Idaho. The millenniums will be out in the drove. I can't wait to jump up and down and start campaigning for PJ. You got your PJ on? Obama reincarnated, as Ray did say. It's going to be wonderful, 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 wonderful. And I'm sorry for Cindy that her lab at your door didn't win, but hey, is what it is. And Little's just big money on top of big money, so Jordan will sell back the school. She'll get rid of the grocery tax, and I'm hoping she gets rid of the gas tax.
I don't think she's going to do anything.
And I think we'll be maybe seeing a state that's got medical marijuana legal. Go
I don't think
Paulette.
Paulette Jordan's going to win. The state Republican Party is too big. The state is too conservative. And Bernie Sanders will not play here in the Gem State.
Well, Mr. Miller, you could be very right, but I'm sorry to say that you're very wrong. So you stay fired up and get your fishing rod out because the fish are biting and Paulette's the winner. And little will always be little. Bye, Kev.
All right, Liberal Steve, God bless. Traffic and weather together with Kevin Miller in the morning. And quickly, we've got about a minute left. Mike Tracy, your thoughts? We've got about a minute in the segment of what happened last night.
Well, one of the things that I can say is that Russ Fulcher didn't just win by a big margin. That was a mandate. He had as many votes as the next three candidates combined, and that was one of the biggest landslides I've ever seen in a multi-person race. And as far as polling goes for the governor's race, you had mentioned that, and polling, a lot of times the public polling is not very good, but internal polling, pretty much the stuff that I saw and heard about was right on target with Brad Little. So those two races, I thought Russ had a good chance, but I didn't think that it was going to be that big of a landslide. And that was a mandate last night. It really was for Russ, and good on him. He worked hard and built a great grassroots campaign, and that's what Brad Little did too. It wasn't just money. He's been building a grassroots base out there for years and years and years. And he's a third generation Idahoan. I went to college with him. He's been around for a long time.
I thought I saw you last night. There was a Mike Tracy clone. I said, "Hey, Mike," and the guy just kind of looked at me.
I listened and watched from afar last night and enjoyed every bit of it, not having to be in the middle of the row.
Mike, take care.
Take care, Kevin.
All right, our great friend Mike Tracy, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.